Hey, Tennessee, do you care about constitutionally protected rights? Then you should care that one right has been oppressed and now forgotten. This right was paid for in blood from the 12th century Baron Wars in Europe that came out of the Magna Carta to our Independence War to the Great Wars. Men and women have sacrificed, fought, and died to establish and preserve this right. This right is protected in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, and it's even more protected in every state constitution. It's the right to petition by address or remonstrance. And I suspect you don't even know what the right of remonstrance is. You know you have a right to bear arms. You know you have a right of free speech. Why don't you know that you have the right of remonstrance? I'll tell you why you don't know. Because it's your most powerful right. And our so-called representatives in government don't want you to know that you have this right. The right of remonstrance is more powerful than the right to bear arms or the right of free speech. And I challenge anyone to debate me on this fact. And I believe in my heart that when this right is restored, a great healing of our republic will commence. I am fighting hard to restore and preserve this right. I hope you will join me in taking stand for our rights as our forefathers did. It's our duty to do so, to preserve our birthright that was paid for in blood. But we will do so lawfully and peacefully. I'm going to switch over to my computer screen now, and I'm going to show you historically how this right was exercised and how it is now actively oppressed by the government, and that this right is fundamental to our form of government and is the voice and power inherent in we the people. And most importantly, I'm going to show you how you can help me to restore this most important of our constitutional rights. All right, Tennessee. So I'm going to walk you through the history, how I exercise this right, how this right is oppressed, and what we need to do to restore this most important of our constitutional rights. So I'm going to share my screen because I like to evidence what I say. Let me get this up, and we'll get going here in just a second. Okay, so this is the 1831 House Journal. I went down and looked at this in the Tennessee archives. It's on the stacks. Anybody can go look at this. And inside of that journal, they talk a lot about petitions and that were presented by members. And I'm going to show you, I have several pages, but I'm just going to show you one page here. So this is from Wednesday, December 7th, 1831. Mr. Hearst presented a petition of Alan Jack praying for divorce. And it was ordered that it was referred to the Committee on Divorces. Mr. Claiborne presented a petition of Baptist McCombs and others and ordered that it be referred to the Committee on Claims. And Mr. Hardin presented a petition of Joseph Nolan praying for the passage of an act authorizing him to hawk and peddle. So what this shows us is Mr. Hearst, Mr. Claiborne, Mr. Hardin, these were all members of the Tennessee House of Representatives back in 1831. And what we can see is that citizens or groups of citizens presented petitions to the representative, and their representative presented those petitions to the full House. And then the full House would resolve or order that it would be referred to one committee or another. This one is really important here. The one Mr. Hardin presented about this authorizing an act for this guy to hawk and peddle. It said ordered that said petition be referred to the Committee on Propositions and Grievances. This committee no longer exists, nor does the Committee on Claims from Mr. Claiborne's petition on behalf of Baptist McCombs. Those committees no longer exist because our legislative houses, in my opinion, have been perverted from their intent. They no longer listen to the people, and they just listen to special interest groups. These committees need to be restored. But here's another important part. So Mr. McGahee from the Committee on Propositions and Grievances made a report upon the petition of sundry citizens of Franklin County praying for a passage of an act authorizing them to raise a certain sum of money by lottery for the purpose of erecting a female academy in said county. And resolution contained therein was concurred by the House as follows, to wit, resolved that the prayer of petitioner ought not to be granted. So we see that members of the House presented petitions on behalf of their constituency. Those petitions were referred to the appropriate committee. Clearly, from the report of Mr. McGahee, these committees deliberated, and then they came back and made a recommendation to the full House, and then the House voted. This is the exercise of our most important constitutional right. And these need not be complicated. I'm going to show you. This is a petition. This is my. Well, I don't think this was filed in 1801 by Jesse Gentry. My fifth great grandfather was named Jesse Gentry. He was one Tennessee pioneer, the son of Robert Gentry. I presume there weren't a lot of Jesse Gentrys in 1801, so I suspect that this was filed by my fifth great grandfather. But you can see this is the entire petition. It's pretty simple, and he just addresses this, and he says, to the Honorable General Assembly of the State of Tennessee now sitting, whereas your humble petitioner humbly showeth that he was so unfortunate as to become for lack of the appearance of a certain something at a superior court of law. And then he goes on into why he was petitioning and the redress that he sought. And that's all a petition is a statement of facts and the redress that you want. Now, a remonstrance is different. A petition is seeking favor. A remonstrance is a protest of unlawful conduct of government policy or government officials. That's, hey, State of Tennessee, you're in violation of the Constitution and you need to explain yourself. This is how we control our government. This is why I believe this right is our most powerful constitutional right. So I mentioned this right is actively oppressed. So I'm going to take you to I just Googled National Archives. You can see that this was my Google search, National Archives. And so this comes up, archives.gov. So I'm going to click on this website, and I'm going to go up to the search at the top and type in Constitution, U.S. Constitution, and search that. And so this brings up the Constitution of the United States. This is our National Archives, people. So on here, if we go down to, let's go to the Bill of Rights, and read a transcript, and then we're going to go down to the First Amendment. So this is the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Now, why do you think they put it in the First Amendment? I'm guessing because it's the most important. But Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the right of speech or the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition for the government, and to petition the government for a redress of grievance. That right there, that is our most important constitutional right in the First Amendment. And everybody talks about, Amendment 1, free speech, freedom of religion. Nobody talks about the right to petition the government for redress of grievance. And a grievance is discrimination, in this Black's Law Dictionary, discrimination, based on race or whatever, or is an oppression of rights. That is the Black's Law Dictionary of a grievance. And oppression of rights is unconstitutional. And that type of protest of government, a redress of grievance, is done in a remonstrance, which is a formal written protest against government policy or government officials. So let's go back back to the Bill of Rights here. Now, where they explain, this is why I believe that our government oppresses this right. So this says, what does it say? You know, what does the Bill of Rights say? This is on the U.S. Archives website. So here, under the First Amendment, under the First Amendment, if this is their explanation, it says that the First Amendment provides civil rights protections to express ideas through speech, to assemble together with a group to protest, and to ask the government to fix problems. And this is a huge watering down of our right to petition for redress of grievance. In my opinion, this is an oppression of a constitutional right on our United States Archives.gov website. They say, and ask the government to fix problems. You know, I guess that's how they say that we have a right to petition for redress of grievances, and a grievance is discrimination or oppression of a constitutional right, and you cannot lawfully discriminate or oppress rights. And they water this down, ask the government. No, this is a constitutional right that we have to go to any power of the government. So let's look at what Tennessee has done here. So I'm going to bring up that this is the Tennessee Constitution that is available on the Secretary of State and General Assembly websites. I downloaded this one. This is from the Chief Clerk of the Senate, prepared by the Chief Clerk of the Senate. And this is on the General Assembly website. Let's go down to Article 1, Section 23. And here, drop that down. Okay, and here it says that citizens have a right, right here, citizens have a right to apply to those invested with the power of government for redress of grievance or other proper purposes. So in Tennessee, our Constitution is better. It doesn't have to be a redress of grievance, it just has to be a proper purpose. And then it says by address of remonstrance. By address of remonstrance. That's not what it says. It says by address or remonstrance. We have a constitutional right to choose to address them in oral presentation or to prepare a formal written protest as a remonstrance. Let's go look at the actual original Tennessee Constitution. This is, let me go back here and start from the beginning. This is TIVA. This is TIVA website. This is Tennessee government website. TIVA is the Tennessee Virtual Archive. And I'm going to click down here. I'm going to click on the 1870 Constitution. The Declaration of Rights in the Tennessee Constitution have never been changed. And page four has it's going to take a minute because I think it's a large image. It's going to take a minute to come up. But page 4 has Article 1, Section 23. And hopefully, here we go. Okay, so now let's look at this full screen. So I just walk you through. You can go on a government website. This is a digitized version of the Tennessee Constitution. I went down to the Tennessee archives and I demanded to see the original documents. I wanted to look at it. So I was granted the extremely rare honor and privilege to read this for myself. So here is Section 23. So citizens have a right, and you can see here, and to apply, move this over. So, and to apply to those invested with the powers of government for redress of grievances or other proper purposes, and here's the last phrase, by address or remonstrance. So you can see here, if you can't read script because our schools don't teach script anymore, or cursive writing, but redress of grievances, this is the word of. And then here, or other proper purpose, this is the word or. So you can clearly see of and or. And it clearly says by address or remonstrance. And so what the government has done here in Tennessee is they have stripped us of, by putting out a false version and a constructed fraud. They have stripped us of our right to address them. And they claim it was a typographical error, but for some reason, they refuse to correct it. I've stood in front of the Government Ops Committee, 9 senators and 16 representatives, and instructed them to correct it, but they still refuse to do this. So now let's look at exercise of this right today. And this is the announcement of my remonstrance before the entire Tennessee House of Representatives. This is me, one citizen, and you have this right also.
Next order, Mr. Clerk. Petitions and memorials. Mr. Clerk. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Rule 15, we have a brief statement regarding a petition of remonstrance statement filed by Representative Halsey. It reads, I'm approaching the Tennessee House Chief Clerk on behalf of Mr. John Gentry with this petition and statement. Involves a petition of grievances. 1, unconstitutional and void statutes. 2, failure to address grievances. 3, judicial reform. 4, reinstitution of constitutionally guaranteed rights. Signed, Bud Halsey, Tennessee State Representative.
So every citizen has a right to do this, and I'm working hard to restore this right for everybody. Now I mentioned this is fundamental to our form of government. So this is from Google Scholar, and this is the case Pacific Telephone and Telegraph versus Oregon. It was argued in the year 1911 and was decided in 1912. And let me see, I believe I have this, yeah. So at 146 in this case, to make the physical power of the United States available at the demand of an existing state government to suppress all resistance to its authority, and to yet afford no method of testing the rightful character of a government would be to render the people of a particular state hopeless in the case of a wrongful government. And in the case United States v. Cruikshank, this was argued in the year 1874. And in that case, the right of the people to peaceably assemble for the purpose of petitioning Congress for a redress of grievance, or for anything else connected with the powers or duties of the national government, is an attribute of national citizenship, and as such, under the protection of and guaranteed by the United States. The very idea of a government, Republican in form, implies a right on the part of the citizens to meet peaceably for the consultation in respect to public affairs, and to petition for a redress of grievances. This is fundamental to our Republican form of government. And I'll go into what is a Republican form of government, because apparently nobody knows anymore. Let me take this screen share off here. And I'm going to come back to it in a second here. But a Republican form of government, and I'll do this in more detail in another case, but its rule of law is essential to a Republican form of government. Is rule of law, and the supreme law is our state constitution in Tennessee, and under the Supremacy Clause, the federal constitution. Whether a government is Republican in character or form is a government that does not oppress the right of petition, and a government that adheres to its constitution. That's what a Republican form of government is. And Tennessee is not. I'm working hard to restore that. But essentially, and in short, it's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So now I need your help. I hope I can do this as one man, but I know we can get it done if we stand together. So I'm going to share my screen here one last time. We're almost done here. Thank you guys for hanging on with me. So this is my website, wethepeople50.com. And just to bring that up so you guys can see it a little bit better, I'm going to blow that up here so you can see that. Just 1 second here. Should have had this ready, sorry. So that's my website, wethepeople50.com. I need you guys to go to my website. And if you once you load up my website, there's a page called Resource Documents. And on here, there's a memorial and a remonstrance. This is a memorial and remonstrance that I'm going to present to a member of the House. And it is his duty to present that to the full House. And basically, it's just saying the people have a right to do this. We have oppressed this right. We need to once again welcome petitions, and we need to restore the Claims Committee, and we need to restore the Propositions and Grievances Committee. And then this is the part that I need you guys to do, is download this co-petitioner signature page. And let me see if I can bring this up here. Let me just drop this on my desktop, and I'm going to show you real quick. This is super, super simple. This is the document here. I need you guys to download this, print it, sign it, and get it back to me. You can send it to me in a picture. You can take a picture of this and send it back to me through private message, or you can scan it and email it to me. You just state your name, and you're saying, I want this right restored also. Print your name and sign it and get that back to me. I said it earlier, I believe that with this right restored, we can hold government accountable. We can hold them to the provisions in the Constitution, and we can be redressed when our rights are violated. And we have a big problem with that, rights being violated, especially by our corrupt judiciary. So I hope you will take a stand with me and do the most simplest of tasks to download that document, print it, sign it, get it back to me. So thank you guys for taking time. This is the civil rights issue of the last 3 generations, and I hope you will join me with this. My name is John Gentry. I'm a candidate for State Senate, District 18, Sumner and Trousdale counties, but this affects all Tennesseans, and I'd be grateful for your support. Thank you for taking time with me. God bless, Godspeed, and in God we trust.